In the not-so-distant future, Earth had entered an era of unprecedented technological advancement. The year was 2142, and while humanity had united against common foes, new threats emerged from beyond the stars. Colonies on Mars and the Moon buzzed with activity. But the real focus lay on the ever-growing tensions with the Helvacs, an alien race intent on claiming Earth for their own. The Helvacs were a towering species, their battleships dwarfing anything the humans had ever constructed. As they began their assault, it became apparent that humanity needed to innovate rapidly. In a top-secret lab nestled deep within the mountains of Colorado, the Earth Defense Alliance, EDA, was working on a revolutionary project, the Tiny Army. Dr. Ilara Finch, the lead scientist, had long believed that the key to defeating the Helvacs lay not in sheer numbers, but in technological ingenuity. The Tiny Army consisted of advanced nanotechnology and micro-drones, designed to operate with the precision of a single soldier while being small enough to infiltrate Helvac strongholds undetected. However, as news of the project leaked, skeptics ridiculed it. "An army of toys? This is our best hope?" scoffed General Knox during a strategy meeting, his booming voice echoing in the chamber. The assembled officers laughed, dismissing the Tiny Army as a mere gimmick. But Dr. Finch remained undeterred. "You'll see. Size doesn't matter when the technology is this advanced. We'll integrate human soldiers with the Tiny Army for better tactical control." Days turned into weeks as the project advanced. Ilara and her team labored tirelessly, embedding the consciousness of trained soldiers into the nanobots. Each soldier, although reduced to microscopic size, maintained their intelligence, instincts, and skills. They could communicate, strategize, and adapt, all while moving through the tiniest of crevices. Then came the day of the first test run. A simulation was set up to demonstrate the capabilities of the Tiny Army. The team gathered, excitement and skepticism swirling in the air. With a nod from Dr. Finch, the test commenced. The simulation began with a digital representation of a Helvac stronghold, complete with defenses and guard patrols. Ilara activated the Tiny Army, a wave of shimmering micro-drones taking flight, each carrying the essence of a soldier. They zipped through the virtual landscape, evading detection with stunning agility. At first, the generals laughed. "Look at them, they're like ants!" This is a joke. But as the simulation progressed, the laughter died down. The Tiny Army exhibited remarkable strategic prowess, outmaneuvering the Helvac's defenses with cunning tactics. They climbed walls, crawled through ducts, and disabled security systems from within. One of the soldiers, Sergeant Jenna Reyes, had been selected for the first real-world deployment. As her consciousness merged with the drones, she felt a rush of adrenaline. "This is amazing," she thought, seeing the world through countless microscopic eyes. As the mission began, the Tiny Army was deployed into a captured Helvac's outpost on the outskirts of a Martian colony. Jenna directed her squad with precision, coordinating maneuvers that were impossible for larger forces. They infiltrated the command center, disabling critical systems while planting explosives. From the control center back on Earth, Dr. Finch and her team watched in awe. "They're doing it! They're actually doing it!" she exclaimed, her voice trembling with excitement. The Helvacs were unprepared for such an attack. They laughed at the notion of a tiny army until they faced it head-on. Jenna's team struck hard and fast, using the element of surprise to their advantage. By the time the Helvacs realized what was happening, it was too late. Within minutes, the outpost was in chaos. Alarms blared as Jenna and her soldiers executed their mission flawlessly. They had taken down the Helvac's command with minimal resistance. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. The world watched in disbelief as the Tiny Army transformed from a laughingstock into a formidable force. The ridicule turned to respect, and the EDA's headquarters buzzed with excitement. "This is it! We've found our edge," General Knox announced, finally recognizing the power of the Tiny Army. As the campaign progressed, the success of the Tiny Army reshaped military strategy across the globe. Nations began to invest heavily in nanotechnology and micro-soldier programs, realizing that in a universe filled with giants, the key to survival lay in the tiniest of warriors. Weeks later, the Helvacs retaliated, launching a massive counteroffensive on Earth. But humanity was ready. With the Tiny Army deployed alongside traditional forces, the battle was unlike anything anyone had seen. In the thick of it, Jenna maneuvered her squad through the chaos of war. She felt the weight of her mission, understanding that the survival of humanity depended on her and her comrades. They climbed through enemy fortifications, sabotaging ships and weapons systems. As they fought, the tide began to turn. The Helvacs, once seen as invincible, found themselves on the back foot against the ingenuity of human determination. The tiny army proved that strategy and innovation could triumph over brute strength. Finally, in a climactic showdown at the heart of the Helvacs' fleet, Jenna led her team to the Central Command ship. They infiltrated its core, planting explosives that would cripple the Helvacs' war machine. The mission was perilous, but the stakes had never been higher. As the countdown began, Jenna felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. They had turned the tide, proving that humanity, no matter how small, could stand tall against any threat. With a final push, the explosives detonated, sending shockwaves through the Helvacs' fleet. Cheers erupted across Earth as the news broke. The tiny army had not just fought, it had secured victory. The world would never laugh at the tiny army again. Instead, it would remember how a band of micro-warriors changed the course of history, showing that even the smallest soldiers could stand up against giants when united by a shared purpose. In the annals of time, humanity learned that strength isn't always measured in size. Sometimes it's found in the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to back down.